Hi, I draw. So I moved. I moved very recently, and I made a silly Instagram post to represent how crazy it would be to move states with so many characters to look after. The thing is, I hadn't actually drawn many of these characters in quite a long time. It made me feel nostalgic for my old favorites. It honestly reignited my love for them again, but the change in my own setting also reminded me of an old idea I had in the vault. When I was about 12 to 13, the first characters I ever made were these two, Knight and Skittle. And if you're already put off by those names, don't worry, they just continue to get worse. Just know that these two were polar opposites, were from two completely tonally different stories, were my favorites, and so now they were roommates. Naturally, as things go. If you have an active enough imagination and the free time of an unemployed tween, you will have that moment where you realize you can play God and enact your free will on your little freaks. Almost all artists will create an AU, or alternate universe, that involves characters who have no business being in the same room together, meeting and being best friends. I made an AU where all my dearest characters had to live in hotel rooms together, and hijinks ensue. The more characters I created as I grew up, the more I began to distance myself from these silly side stories, and subsequently, these old originals who got the ball rolling in the first place. Until I realized my tiny, feeble brain was not reaching its fullest potential. The core cast only had 12 characters because those were the only ones I really cared about. But now I have over 300 characters. That's a lot of new faces, but way too many to keep track of for standard daydreaming. But that's more than enough characters for, say, a game roster. There's really no way to ease into this. Dude, I fucking love gacha games. And it's not for the PNG gambling aspect. It's actually for the little things in between. Fire Emblem Heroes was the first gacha game I got really hooked onto. My favorite aspects about it, besides seeing my Legion of Corns and Dimitri's clear a map in 4 seconds, are the supplementary game modes. Forging Bonds is just you completing levels so you can watch the visual novel between two characters and unlock little accessories through. And the Aether Raid Resort is really just a playground for whatever characters you want to chit-chat with each other and put on previously discussed cute accessories. It's so simple, but it is really cute. Reverse 1999 was another game that I got really into because the art direction for it is fucking gorgeous. The skins are incredibly drawn, I love the style that they draw the chibis in, everything down to the sprites for the items is crafted beautifully. But I couldn't possibly talk about gacha games without mentioning peak Arknights. With their techware-styled operators and base decorator and Bloons tower defense, what's not to love? What? Did you think I was going to talk about this thing? Hell no. All of those games and the little details that I loved about them made me brainstorm a gacha game for my own characters, give them a playground to interact in, accommodate all 300 characters and whatever new outfits I feel like putting them in, and I can write a little story for it. Fuck it, I'll throw in some other games that I like for inspiration. Room building, I'm lifting straight from Animal Crossing, and this little game that I have called Resortopia, so cute. I'll steal the Sims-style character interactions that change depending on personality types. Tomodachi life is weird as shit, with its everything. I'm taking all of it. Now I just need a setting. Well, I am in Florida, and all these ads I'm getting are becoming really influential. Maybe it can be... a resort! Hi, oh my god, welcome, we're so glad you made it, dude. Look at all these backgrounds I do, aren't they cool? Chill out, Zippy. You're gonna freak him out. Sorry. Welcome to Lavish STEM Resort. Talk to our welcoming staff and we'll get you accommodated to your new home away from home. Visit the beach for some fun in the sun. L Steakhouse for our gourmet food, and L Spa to wind down before heading to your beautiful hotel room. Don't forget to check into the lobby to find wonderfully confused guests just like you. For my fictional made-up gacha game that will never exist, I get to decide the nonsensical details and views about things I'll never have to learn to code. This is not being made, by the way, I just want to make that clear. But please, comment any suggestions for ideas and adjustments you make. We will now move to the theater room to see all the concept art I made for every aspect I could think of for making this silly resort gacha game. The premise of this game revolves around you, the player, being a very eager and willing participant of the resort. It's 2026 and you're employed. Be happy. You work as a concierge, the guy who helps make plans for the customer's day and assist new guests as they become accommodated to their living situation. You notice that all these guests you've been helping out aren't quite all there, and that's because they have amnesia. It's now up to you to learn the personalities of these valued customers, gain their trust, and find their long-lost friends so they may have the best experience possible at LS Resort. Like that little spiel? I literally made it up at the very last moment of concepting. I know amnesia is such a trope, but sue me, it works. This is the basic idea that the game is centered around. You summon for characters, they become your hotel guests, and you help my OCs pair up together in the worlds they belong in. Simple enough, right? The main lobby is certainly something in the initial concepting stage. I didn't want to just make it something basic, but I think I strayed too far in a direction I'm not too crazy about either. Not to mention I'm not greatly versed in background work. You'll see a revised version later, but I won't lie to you. It started kind of bad. When you first open the game, I want the first thing you see to be the main lobby. Makes the most sense in my head. You always start your day here, and are even greeted by your favorite rotation of guests. Or maybe just the single one you fancy. Up to you. I wanted to focus on the absolute basics of the gacha system and navigation, so there are 5 main buttons you see. Your profile, the guestbook, the map, summoning screen, and L shop. Each of these has its own unique screen, but I like the buttons seemingly zooming into aspects of the background. That's why I thought it was important that the lobby show off all the amenities from a distance. In theory, I would also like the background elements to be something you can interact with in silly ways, not too dissimilar to the Flash games that rewarded you for being curious. I definitely wanted the lobby to feel luxurious, and I'm being ambitious with my ideas because I also want a day-night cycle, skins you can unlock during holidays. Reminder, I can't draw backgrounds. But here's the final rough concept for the lobby. Now we're gonna get into the literal way the game would function. All of these guests are pretty meaningless PNGs if they don't have anything to do, so let's give them some personality first. In the first old draft of this gacha game, I knew I wanted to keep the fight system super simple. At first, I put all of my characters into archetypes, and would work within a Pokemon element rock, paper, scissors system. Upon second opinions from friends, I realized it's too limiting and would be way more trouble than it's worth, so I ended up scrapping it for something I like a lot more. I do think the Isaac-lings I drew are pretty silly though. Look at that mentor. He strokes his wizened beard. But yeah, no, these needed to go. The new system is much less convoluted despite it seeming like much more work. Think The Sims. You have a pool of character traits, and depending on which traits the guest has, they will get along with some more than others. Each guest will have 5 traits, and a few traits that they like and dislike in other guests. Using this information, you can better assess what guests will work better with each other, and what guests will beat each other's asses on sight. The whole reason this system exists is one big excuse for me to have the Fire Emblem visual novel style cutscene thingies. I think their support progression system would work really well for my needs. If you're unfamiliar, it's a grade system from E through A, and super special relationships, like a romantic relationship, or a mortal enemy being created, are relegated to S. Not every guest will have super in-depth conversations with each other though, so like a guest could potentially go up to an S tier conversation with one person, and just C tier with another. Don't worry though, the guests with less to say to each other can still be useful. They have the potential to unlock room items or accessories after dialogue to possibly help boost their stats. What stats, you ask? We'll get to that in just a moment. Now that we have a clear idea of how the guests will behave, we can get more into the fun stuff. Assets, character art, not backgrounds, yippee, yay! I figured these would be the basics. The full art, the cropped version you would see when you summon guests, and the chibi sprites you would see walking around. We will talk about them later. For my concept example, I needed someone simple but distinct, so here's one of my Mobilian freaks, Chester. At first glance, he's just some fucking guy, but on closer inspection, you can see some funky details like feathers all around his body and facial hair like feathers on the side of his face. Yeah, you guessed it, he's a big bird man. His incredible hawk eyesight and funny bird-like tendencies doesn't make him any less insufferable to be around though. He's really messy, he's always on edge around people because he thinks everyone is a liar like him, he's haughty, he's bad-tempered, it's just a real piece of work. You'd think putting him with someone who's much nicer and even-tempered would allow him to open up more, but no. Misery loves company. He would rather be with someone just as insufferable as him. You may also notice that there are some items on the side of him. I think because he's such a basic character from a very basic story, he wouldn't have many opportunities to unlock extra room paraphernalia. He still gets a few though. Maybe having a chair of a messy pile of clothes and a little rabbit plushie his girlfriend would give him. These items would be things you can put in his home as decorations. I also thought it would be funny if every guest had a special item you can unlock when you find someone really important from their original lore. The special item would be what fully gives them back their memory, unleashing them from the amnesia and creating unique dialogue for characters who are in their same story but are still under the effects of the resort. Sorry, did I say effects? Oh, no, we're not. We're trying to help everyone. Certainly not, because, let's look at some more art. Over here, we can see my attempts at some other assets I may need, specifically related to summoning guests. This was chronologically the first concept I'd done. I was really excited about the hotel resort idea because I wanted to design character cards that I could make in real life, and I thought to myself, key cards. Ooh, I felt so smart. I could make someone pull for the hotel key cards. Flipping it around would reveal the guest. The front side could be color-coded to match the ranking, so a 1-star would be a silver card, a 3-star would be a shiny card. Are you seeing my genius? What really ended up stumping me was clearly the actual design of the key card front. I was heavily underestimating the amount of stories I made because the 2 keys you see there at the bottom are related to 2 very specific stories I'd written. I love key designs and I wanted to make one for each specific story, but that was gonna be way too much work. I make so many mini stories that it wouldn't even be worth categorizing. Plus, it defeats the mystery of finding who are related. A shame, because hotel keys are such a cute aesthetic. Sigh. What stumped me was the thought of a keycard holder. I was thinking I could relate pan flutes somehow, make them be the banners, and the reveal would involve opening the holder. I really liked the thought of it, but I personally couldn't find any single idea to grasp onto. The functionality was just not sitting right with me, so I explored some other ideas. I tried crafting the summoning screen and came to a pretty simple conclusion with it. Nothing too complex. But my biggest discovery was card decorations. While trying to think of the way a guest could look on a card, I was sifting through other games and seeing how closely they crop their characters. Upon opening this other mobile game, Potion Punch 2, I was staring at their borders and thought, oh my god, what if pretty card sleeves? And then, as you can see, immediately switched gears into that. Made some cute ideas, thought about how much room they'd be taking on the actual card, and that little bit of decoration made me excited to include it on the player profile. So much so that I got heavily sidetracked and started theorizing elements of that too. Profile customization. Very important. I agree, pass me. While we're here, we can touch on the profile and come back to the specifics of summoning a bit later. I kept it super simple. You can see their name, your ID number, the date you started, and rudimentary info like the amount of guests you've unlocked and the level you're at. Some other buttons on top allow you to search out players, see your friends list, and a house? I'm assuming that's to view their hotel? Unsure, past me. And then, of course, buttons to customize your very simple info to make it look unique to you. The UI is made to look like a notebook, so I thought it would be cute if you could change the border color, make the rings of your notebook gold or silver, change the paper color and texture to act as light and dark mode, and the most important part, your favorite guest, which also functions as your profile picture. You can assign whatever guest you've already summoned, and depending on their card sleeve, the profile will reveal a lanyard version with a little keychain on the very bottom. You can also see the guest signature. Or maybe I can let people draw something there, but you know what people will do if you give them that kind of power, so who knows. The Guestbook lets you talk to a new character who's specifically employed by LS management and cannot be switched out, April. She's also someone who has been pulled from their world and has no memory of their original story, but she's a natural master at organization, so in the front desk she stays. All day and all night. On her right, you'll be able to see the scrollable collection of guests you've summoned and the decorations you've added to their keycards if applicable. You'll be able to sort them by whatever categories I feel players would need most, and upon closer inspection, you can see info about the guests in particular, like their level, job title, put a pin in that, established important relationships, and April will give you some info about the character traits. She'll only know as much as you do though. At the very bottom you can see some wagey stats. The amount of money they make when assigned to a job, most likely per second, some bonus tips that can be leveled up, how much money they'll make when assigned to a specific job title, and some guests will even have specific stats related to other guests. In the very corner you can flip to the second page, and this is my favorite part. First and foremost, customization. The right side is themed around scrapbooking, so you can collect character art by unlocking splash art or using the in-game camera to take screenshots and display them however you like. I specifically decided to keep the functionality unlimited to what images can be put there, because I thought the idea of someone filling a guest scrapbook with someone else entirely was really funny in my head. Also, if you log in on a guest's birthday, you unlock their baby picture. You can even add stickers beside their photos. The left side is themed around the library. One bookmark is for lore that unlocks in bits and pieces the more this guest interacts with others, and the other two have pins in them. The player will be able to pin specific connections to other guests, so they can track their support progression and quickly look at other characters within the submenu instead of having to back out and search for them manually. Just immediate access. And at the very bottom, there's a library card. I use this to track support progression, but you'll also notice the trio and quad sections too. I'm embracing my cringe. They have team names. Don't look at me. Groups of 2 to 3 guests will be considered part of a friend group or team, and will have unique dialogue when all in the same place. These opportunities are probably going to be more rare than others, but will end up being more rewarding with cool items. Saying goodbye to April, we go to the map. I definitely wanted to add multiple locations you can pop into, but I landed on 4 for right now. We have the restaurant, the spa, the beach, and the lounge. When you select these areas, it opens an isometric view of the room with all the guests walking around aimlessly. Here is where we start understanding the significance of the stats, because you can actually assign the guests part-time jobs. For example, at the restaurant, you can assign 1 host, 2 chefs, and 3 waiters. They'll be stationed in different parts of the room and will interact with customers. Look, they even get cute little uniforms! When you assign a guest to a job, they will don their LS Resort attire and interact with others much differently. Usually, they'll go about their business helping guests, but sometimes you get a special opportunity to do a minigame. The host and waiter minigames are slightly different versions of Simon Says. Completing them correctly and within the time limit will give you your prize. Not completing them or doing the actions wrong will only serve to not pay out, but can give you silly animations now that the characters are irritated with each other. There's no lasting penalty though, and they're completely optional. Zooming out just a bit, I can show you how the map actually looks before going into these rooms. I thought it would be helpful to add an overview for each location so you can easily collect however much money you've accrued while you were away, maybe with a limit. In the bottom right corner, we're able to see the employee overview and hotel buttons. Starting with the hotel, it acts pretty much exactly like Tomodachi Life's hotel room system, where you can peek into everyone's rooms and interact with the specific guest if they're in there. Otherwise, you can just decorate the room to your heart's content. This is also where you find the lobby. It might have made more sense for the lobby to be part of the main map, but it's also intended to be the hub spot for most conversations that increase friendships to take place, which is also what the hotel rooms are for. Ooh, what's that secret character all the way up top? Hi, Aerie! I decided to be annoying and make you scroll to find the character you want, but I know it would get pretty irritating with more characters you get, so I can let you reorganize the hotels or something. Maybe there can be a button in the guest book that leads you straight to their hotel room. Not sure. I shrug. I just thought it would be funny. And lastly, the employee overview. It functions basically exactly like Arknights. You have specific areas the guests can work in, and some will even have bonuses when working at certain positions. You scroll through the guests on the right, scroll through the positions in the middle, and on the left you can see Employee of the Month, which would be whoever earned you the most money, and Money Bags, which would be whoever paid out the most. I predict these will be pretty much the same 1 to 3 characters for a majority of someone's playthrough, but you can unlock special art for this, just like baby pictures, so good luck to the completionists. Here it is, the entire reason I wanted to theorize about this game in the first place. Anytime I think of the summoning animation, you know, the thing most people skip when they're playing these types of games, I think of statues or characters arriving in like a limousine or something, but I couldn't quite put my finger on how I wanted the summoning to actually be presented. Like, with all the other games you pull for, you have banners and you unceremoniously scroll through them like you're sifting through advertisements. Advertisements. Ooh, what if it was a screen? Literally make it those annoying ass giant screens you see that shove ads in your face as you walk through the mall or like an airport. Logistically, I was also a little stumped. Like, the lore is that these characters are being pulled from their stories into this one, and somehow, some way, not sure how, getting amnesia. Sure, yeah, I could just make you collect 100 gems or orbs or whatever and just chuck PNGs at you, but there's gotta be some sort of pizzazz I can add to this. Why are we gathering 100 orbs? I decided it would be really fucking funny if the summoning currency was pamphlets. Brochures. You literally bombard the characters with resort advertisements in their mailbox until they're just like, oh my god, fine, I'll go. In the top left, you can see that it says sponsored because I also had the idea that you would be like a marketing manager or something and you sponsor these characters to be at the resort. Kind of like those groups of girls you see posting about their trip to the Bahamas sponsored by, I don't know, fucking Warhammer. Hey, who's that little freak in the corner? That, my friend, is Abba. He's my little messenger mailman who's responsible for sending out all the mail to the soon-to-be guests. In the summoning animation, you can literally see him walk up to the doorstep and drop all the ads on the front door. I even made a crude animation for it to really give you the idea, and I love it because it includes his buck-toothed bunny mobile. Oh my goodness! As you saw at the end, April hands you your folder for your new concierge assignment and the key cards for the new guests that are arriving. I only drew one for the example, but the folder would have multiple cards depending on how many characters you summon. We made it to the home stretch! Damn, I talked your ear off. Thank you for listening for this long, I really appreciate it. Before I finish up here, I still have to introduce you to L Shop, the store you can visit for all your purchasing needs. Look, I don't know how to make a shop system sound fun. You buy shit, cool beans. I wanted to be cute with the layout and make a magazine rack with all the stuff you can buy, but I also didn't have enough items to really justify it. It felt too bare bones and not intuitive enough, so I made a more standard looking shop system. I did really like the magazine theme though, so there are 3 different categories. The decorations on the top, the magazines in the middle, and items at the very bottom. Decorations allow you to buy card sleeves and stickers, probably rotating supply on a daily basis. Stickers can come in themed packs like blue or cute or something, and the card sleeves also exist. Magazines contain aesthetically related shops. Fire magazine is for the guest skins. Table and Vines is for furniture, little East Coast reference for the 2 people who get that. And Connoisseurism is a collection of all 3. You get a skin and theme stickers based on that skin. So like, a holiday skin might also get Jingle Bell stickers and yard decorations alongside it that can only be accessed through buying that pack. More bang for your buck that way. Items at the very bottom are items. I was thinking that maybe you could give a character an item to boost their stats, but furniture and special items already do that. Maybe you can purchase things to level up your character faster, but I feel like that also takes away from the gameplay. I don't know, I felt like it just needed a 3rd category, and I really wanted an excuse to like cool coupons, but I have nothing. Tell me what you think that last part of the shop should be. I'm completely stumped on that one. Gosh, and who is that sassy bastard? That's Terravin. He's another Ellis Resort employee who is still learning the ins and outs of adulthood. Very tired of everyone's bullshit, but he has no choice but to talk to your ass because he's getting his check next week. And those are all the concepts I made. I'm sure me pointing them out and having their own little sprites on the side has already revealed it to you, but employees at the resort are actually secret characters that you can talk to and unlock by pestering them. Shout out my shy girl Sable. Tapping on April at the Guestbook, stumbling upon Abba at the lounge while he delivers mail. You're gonna catch them at specific moments so you can create deeper connections with you, the player. Ain't that neat? Here's some other rapid fire details I thought were funny, or in this case, infuriating. I'm not shitting you when I say I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out a chibi style that I liked for these fucks. Even while making this video, I settled for the designs you've been seeing. I plan on changing them again as soon as I finish editing this behemoth. I couldn't figure out a spot to put this part, but I do have some concept art for the hotel rooms. Obviously you can decorate them, and just like Resortopia, some items can passively give you income that you can collect. You can also access the guestbook and lore for whatever characters are in the room. Lavish STEM Resort was the handiwork of my boyfriend, whom I complained to about not having any good names for the resort that would keep my LS branding. He's a genius though, and gave me that in like 2 minutes. What a goat. Designing the room maps were so fucking fun. In my head, you can upgrade the amenities the wealthier and more popular your resort gets, but I need everyone to acknowledge the level of detail I went into for them and their minigames. The spa has some nail techs you could play Hue Match with, and the hairdressers can fuck your whole shit up, just because the player feels like it, and I think that's hilarious. Whack-a-mole for the lifeguard was funny to me, but I also don't know what other jobs I would add for the beach. I don't go beaching very often. Oh, and look! The beach looks... I don't know, it just kind of looks familiar. Thank you so much for taking the tour via the theater room. We hope you enjoyed looking at the blueprints that created the place you're standing in right now. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to the things I was most excited for, which was the actual characters I made this dang concept for, but that's just gonna have to be left for my next video. With that, I ask that you check in with April at the main entrance and don't make eye contact with the guests. We hope to see you again soon. Take care now! This video took so long that the new Tomodachi Life came out and is quite literally, I can just point to it and that's how I want this game to function. Like, dude, that's literally what I was going for. Why'd they take my made-up game from me? Regardless, I know my ideas aren't gonna accumulate to like a perfect game or anything, but it is fun to ruminate about and create new fake scenarios for my 300 children to act out. I would love to hear any thoughts you may have about it, and hope you also consider liking this video and subscribing if you feel like seeing more of the fuck-ass ideas I've got in the noggin. Thank you so much for watching.